It was 6:12 a.m. on a Saturday. The one day I could actually sleep in. The sun hadn't even climbed over the cul-de-sac yet, and the neighborhood was silent. Peaceful. That is, until the unmistakable roar of a Dodge Challenger engine shattered the quiet like a war cry. For a second, I thought I was dreaming. Then I heard tires screeching. I shot out of bed, heart pounding. My window overlooked the driveway, and that's when I saw it. My car, my midnight blue 2020 Dodge Challenger, fishtailing down the street like it was in a Fast and Furious audition. What the? I stumbled into my jeans, grabbed my phone, and ran outside barefoot. By the time I hit the porch, the taillights disappeared around the corner. My first thought was stolen. My second was, who would even dare? This neighborhood had cameras on every porch, thanks to the HOA's Community Safety Initiative. Ironically, it was probably the only reason I'd agreed to move here. Then came the voice that made my blood boil. Morning. It was Karen, the self-proclaimed HOA president, standing in her robe, holding a cup of coffee like she owned the sunrise. Her tone was fake sweet, but her smirk was pure poison. You seem upset, she said, eyes flicking toward the street. Someone just stole my car, I snapped. Her smile twitched. Oh dear, really? That's terrible. Maybe you should have parked it in your garage instead of making the neighborhood look like a drag strip. I took a step closer. Karen, this isn't the time. My car was just stolen. Before I could say another word, her son, Derek, stumbled out of their house. Tall, greasy hair, hoodie half-zipped, still reeking of last night's beer. He looked nervous. Too nervous. And that's when I noticed it. The Challenger keychain dangling from his hand. My stomach dropped. Derek, where did you get that? Karen turned sharply. Derek, inside, now. But Derek froze, eyes darting between us like a trapped animal. Then, without a word, he bolted. Karen gasped. Derek! I just stood there, realizing what that meant. My car was gone, my keys were in his hand, and I was staring at his mother, the woman who fined me for having my trash cans out for 10 extra minutes. The sound of sirens started to echo faintly in the distance. Karen's face drained of color. Oh my God, I whispered, gripping my phone. He actually took it. The police scanner app on my phone crackled to life. Unit 7 in pursuit of a blue Dodge Challenger, heading east on Redwood Avenue. That was my car. I looked at Karen. Guess your HOA meeting just got interesting. Her coffee cup slipped from her hand and shattered on the driveway. By the time I finished giving my statement to the first responding officer, half the neighborhood had gathered on their lawns. Pajamas, coffee mugs, and gossip-ready faces everywhere. You could practically smell the HOA drama brewing. Karen stood across the street, arms crossed, trying to hold her composure. The perfect suburban queen now looked like a porcelain doll about to crack. Mom, Officer Daniels said, stepping toward her. Your son is suspected of vehicle theft. We have dashcam footage confirming the plate number. Do you know where he might be headed? Karen let out this shaky laugh. The kind people do when denial is the only thing holding them together. There must be some mistake. Derek wouldn't steal a car, he's just borrowing it, I'm sure. Borrowing my car, I muttered, loud enough for everyone to hear. Karen shot me a glare that could peel paint. Maybe if you didn't show off that ridiculous car every day. Oh, so now it's my fault your son boosted it. The officer raised a hand. All right, that's enough. Before either of us could say more, the police radio squawked again. Suspect now traveling at high speed on Highway 9, requesting air support, possible DUI. A murmur swept through the crowd. Karen's hand flew to her mouth. I caught the flash of realization in her eyes. This wasn't some teenage joyride. This was a full-blown police chase. I pulled out my phone and opened a local news stream. Sure enough, the breaking banner read, Live police pursuit, blue Dodge Challenger on Highway 9. And there it was. My car, weaving through morning traffic. Sirens blaring behind it. The camera zoomed in. Derek's wild eyes stared straight ahead, jaw clenched, panic written all over his face. Is that? Yes, I said flatly. That's him. Karen whispered, Oh my God, Derek. For a moment, I almost felt bad for her. Almost. The officer spoke into his radio. Suspect is confirmed. Proceed with caution. We have civilian vehicle involved. Karen turned toward me, voice trembling. Please, can you tell them not to hurt him? He's just scared. He doesn't know what he's doing. I stared at her. He knew enough to steal a car and floor it past a red light. The crowd around us was silent. Just the distant hum of sirens growing fainter as the chase sped further away. Then another voice came over the scanner, calm but cold. Helicopter 2 in pursuit. Suspect entering the overpass, roadblock ahead. Karen's eyes widened. They're not going to... I didn't answer, because we both knew this wasn't ending with a gentle lecture. Somewhere above the city, blades began to churn the morning sky. By the time the helicopter's roar echoed across the valley, the story had already blown up online. News vans rolled into our quiet HOA street like sharks scenting blood. Reporters were shouting over one another, cameras flashing, neighbors whispering in tight little circles. Karen stood at the edge of her driveway, trembling. Her robe had been replaced with a blazer, like she was trying to reassert control, as if a wardrobe change could erase the fact that her son was being chased by police in a stolen car. I sat on my porch steps, phone in hand, watching the live feed. My Challenger tore down the freeway, a swarm of black and whites behind it, helicopter spotlights slicing through the air. Suspect now approaching the Ridgefield overpass, the reporter announced breathlessly. Speeds exceeding 110 miles per hour. This is turning dangerous. Karen turned toward me, her voice shaking. This isn't who he is. Derek's he's been under stress. He's a good boy. I didn't even look up. Good boys don't steal cars and blow red lights, Karen. Her face hardened. You don't understand. He's been judged his whole life. I cut her off. You fined me $75 for having a basketball hoop on my driveway. You made him this way, Karen. You raised him in rules and excuses. The air hung heavy between us, filled with tension and rotor noise. Then the newscaster's tone shifted. Urgent. It looks like the suspect's losing control. He's swerving. Oh my! I froze. The screen showed my Challenger clipping another car, spinning sideways, sparks flying as it scraped the concrete barrier. The helicopter light followed, relentless. He stopped! Police are surrounding the vehicle! Karen gasped, clutching her chest. No, no, no! The camera zoomed in. Derek threw open the door, stumbling out, hands raised. Cops swarmed in, shouting commands. Within seconds he was on the ground, cuffed, surrounded by flashing red and blue. The feed cut to commercial. The silence afterward felt deafening. Karen dropped to her knees, sobbing. I didn't know what to say. For all my anger, watching her collapse like that twisted something in my gut. The officer who'd been with us stepped forward. Ma'am, your son's being taken into custody. No major injuries reported. Karen looked up, tears streaking her face. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Then she looked at me, really looked at me. For the first time without arrogance, just exhaustion. I'm so sorry. I nodded, slowly. Let's just make sure he makes it home alive. But I couldn't shake one thought as the helicopter faded into the distance. No matter how this ended, nothing in this neighborhood would ever be the same again. The next morning, the neighborhood looked like a war zone of gossip. You could practically hear the whispers echoing off the picket fences. Every house had blinds half drawn. Every phone held low but recording. The HOA queen had fallen, and everyone wanted front row seats. Karen's house was wrapped in silence. Her driveway, once spotless and lined with flower pots she fined people for not matching, was now a parking spot for a tow truck. My Challenger sat there, battered but alive, grille dented, windshield cracked, police dust still smeared across the paint. I signed the recovery form as the officer handed me back the keys. Guess she's tougher than she looks, I said. He gave a small grin. You're lucky. Most don't make it back after something like that. As the tow truck pulled away, I stood there a long moment, just listening to the neighborhood hum. Sprinklers, birds, and far-off murmurs. Then Karen appeared on her porch. No sunglasses, no clipboard, no superiority this time. Just a mother who looked like she hadn't slept all night. She walked toward me slowly, hands clasped together. He's being charged. Grand theft auto, evading arrest, reckless driving. Her voice cracked. They're saying I failed to control him. The board wants me to step down as HOA president. I tilted my head. Guess even the HOA has a limit. She tried to laugh, but it came out like a sigh. I just wanted him to do better than I did. I thought if I kept everything perfect, maybe he'd stay out of trouble. I looked at her. The woman who'd made my life miserable over mailbox paint colors and grass height, now hollow, trembling. Perfection doesn't raise kids, Karen. Presence does. She nodded, tears spilling freely now. I don't expect you to forgive him, or me. I leaned against the fence, arms crossed. Forgiveness isn't really my thing. But maybe accountability can start somewhere. She nodded again. I'm sorry about your car. Me too, I said, glancing at the cracked windshield. But honestly, the damage isn't what bothers me. It's that the person who took it lives 20 feet away. We stood in silence. Two neighbors, once enemies, now bound by the wreckage of one night that tore down the illusion of control she'd built her world on. As I walked back toward my porch, I heard her voice, small but clear. You know, they're holding an emergency HOA meeting tonight. You should come. I smirked. Only if we're voting to ban helicopter chases from the neighborhood. For the first time since I'd moved in, Karen actually laughed. The kind of laugh that sounded human. The kind that maybe, just maybe, could mean change.